First fish of the morning. That's a really nice fish. Look at the mouth on that thing. Beautiful. Got wrapped up in that grass. I thought it was a little 14-incher, but surprise, surprise. Ah, man, feels good. All right, let's get back at it and try to cover some water. Raw, welcome to the lake. Here's the challenge. I got 3 hours. I got 3 different rods rigged up with 3 different punching delivery systems. And I'm going to try to catch 2 overs, which is over 18, and 3 fish on each one of these delivery systems. Some of these techniques are kind of new to me. This one's not. I'm real familiar with this. This is just a typical Texas rig, you know, punch rig. Well, without the punch guard, but just a heavy Texas rig for punching. So I just got a 3/4 ounce weight. Right now the grass is nice and crisp. It's matted, but you can break through it pretty easy. So this is delivery system number 1. Delivery system number 2 is a power shot rig. And I'll talk a little bit more about these later on. So this is just basically a drop shot on braid. I've got a 1 ounce weight on there, and I'll show you how I rig that up here in a little bit. And I've just got a power bait general, max scent general on there. Just a stick bait, 5-inch stick bait. You need something that's a little more rigid. You know, like a Cinco's too soft, you'll be battling that thing all day long. So this is a little bit tougher. So I'm going with that. That's delivery system number 2. And then number 3 is the Tokyo rig. This is something I've just been kind of playing around with. Haven't committed to it yet. Just got a 3/8 ounce weight. It's like a 2.5-inch dropper and a Havoc Pit Boss. The other one was a Beaver on my regular punching rig. So the goal is 3 fish on each one of these rigs, and I've got 3 hours to do it, and I'm hoping 2 of those are over. So let's get to it. Whoa. Before we go any further in this video, let's talk about the Tokyo rig setup that I used. I got a 7'4". It's just a Quantum G-Force rod. It's a heavy action rod. I've got it spooled up with 20-pound fluorocarbon on a loose. It's just a BB1 HZ reel, 7-to-1 gear ratio. You want a high gear ratio when you're doing any kind of punching stuff. You want to be able to get that bait in there, get it out, and when you get a bite, set that hook, and you need some leverage and some speed on that reel to get that fish out of the grass. The Tokyo rig is pretty interesting. I've only fished it a few times, so I'm still learning it. It's got about a 2.5-inch dropper, and you can buy it in all different kind of hook sizes. This happens to be just a 4/0 EWG hook. It's made by VMC, so that's a VMC hook on there. You got a swivel right there, and you tie directly to your swivel, and it's got a split ring that holds all this together. One interesting aspect of this Tokyo rig is it punches through the grass really well. With my Texas rig, I'm using a 3/4 ounce weight right now. With this, I'm using a 3/8 ounce weight, and it goes through the same. It's pretty impressive how it works. And the reason that works like that is because this weight is hitting first, and it punches through and it pulls your bait down through the grass. You know, a Texas rig is all kind of combined together, so you got this big profile that has to punch through, so you're going to need quite a bit heavier weight. So you can drop this almost in half. If you're using 1 ounce weight to get through on a Texas rig, you only need a 1/2 ounce Tokyo rig. It comes in and out of the grass pretty good. And I started out with the Havoc Pit Boss. I'll show you what that looks like. Here's the package. This is just a good flipping bait all around. And anything in a green pumpkin, this is green pumpkin purple. pretty standard bait. It's kind of got a beaver profile. It's got the 4 little flipper legs on it. Not a lot of action. It's pretty subtle. I decided to try this little skinny dipper on here just to see what it would do, and it's really cool. You can actually swim it through the grass. I had a couple bites on it. I didn't hook up with it. So let's get back to the video. Alright, that was a Tokyo rig fish. Got one of them out of the way. I just had another bite, so I should have had 2 already, but man, when you get a hook in these things, it really sticks. Nice fish. Nothing wrong with that fish on a beautiful morning. Man, that thing got rowdy. Just a little Tokyo rig. Just kind of pitch that out in the grass and just kind of shake it a little bit. That's exactly what I was doing, and that fish just kind of ticked it and loaded up on it. It's a pretty cool bite. 2 down, or 1 down, 2 to go. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do hit the like and punch that notification button. Hit the like, thumbs up. It's real easy to do. If you don't have an account set up with YouTube, it's just a matter of an email and a password. It's real simple. And you know, any YouTuber that you follow and you like, subscribe to their channel, because it really helps us out. Makes a big difference. It just lets you know that you appreciate our content. Alright, that fish came on the power shot rig. It's kind of slow out here. It's just basically a big drop shot. I've got a stick type bait and then a 1 ounce weight. The punch shot's pretty interesting. This is the first time I've ever tried it, and I decided to use I got a 7'6". It's a heavy power Hawgz Custom Light rod, model number LCF FRH. Heavy action. I've got 50-pound braid, just Power Pro braid, and I've got a Hawgz BB1 reel. It's a 7-to-1 again. I'll show you how I rig this up. It's kind of interesting. The ideal way to use this would be to get one of those dipsy weights they use for catfishing. It's kind of a teardrop shape, and it's got the little ring that's molded into the actual weight. So 1 ounce is a good one of those to get, but I didn't have any, so I was thinking about how I could rig this up. I used let's talk about the hook real quick. I just used a 3/0. This is just a VMC flipping hook, and I like the ones that have the plastic keeper on there. Seems to tear up your bait a little less. The bait I'm using is it's the Berkley Max Scent power bait. You know, here's the package right there. You saw the worm. You need, you know, if you're going to use a stick bait on this, you need something that's real rigid, because when you're pulling it in and out of the grass, that hook's going to have a tendency to poke through it. So if you use something really soft like a Cinco, it's going to poke. The hook's going to poke through, you know, within like 10 casts, and you're going to be fighting it. You're going to go through a lot of Cincos. So you need something that's kind of rigid, kind of stiff, and that's what I came up with. So to rig this up, you're just going to tie a regular, just like you're tying a drop shot. It's a big polymer knot with a tag, and what I did was I tied that hook, and I'll show you how to tie the drop shot up in another video, but stay focused here. So what I did, I tied a polymer knot, and you want about an 8 to 10 inch tag. So I threaded a bobber stop first, then I put a 1 ounce tungsten, just a flipping weight on there next, and then I tied a split ring I just use a San Diego jam knot. I'll link that video at the end of this video, so just show you how to tie that if you're not familiar with. But I just got a split ring, and so that split ring is going to stop that weight from sliding down, and you pull that bobber stop down to the top of your flipping weight, and that keeps it from sliding up. So it's all compact.
Okay, that's number 2 on the power shot. It's a nice fish. Really having to work for him this morning. It's slow. I don't have much time left, but one more to go on the power shot. This power shot's a lot of work though. It's kind of hard to get in and out of the grass. It wants to hang up, but it does have a neat action. You know, when it's on the bottom, this thing just kind of darts around. So it's something different for sure. It's just not near as efficient as your traditional Texas rig. Alright guys, that was awesome. Caught my second over, so got that part of the challenge down. That was on a traditional Texas rig, just a beaver. Hey, subscribe to the channel please. Really appreciate it. Leave some comments, share it on your social media. It helps us YouTubers out a lot. If you got a channel you really like, subscribe to it, man. Let them know that you care. A nice fish. I'm gonna let this fish back.
For my standard punching rig, Texas rig, I'm using a 4-aught hook. This is a VMC flipping hook, and once again I like this hard plastic keeper on there. You don't go through as many baits. And I've just got a 3/4 ounce tungsten weight and a bobber stop. I've only got one on here now, but if I was going up to say a 1 ounce weight, I would put 2 on there just to keep that weight from sliding up. There's a lot of force when you set the hook. I got 50-pound braid again, and I've got this rigged up on a Hawgz Custom Light. It's a 7'11". The model number is LCL-MCR. It's a medium heavy action, moderate tip. This is really a big Carolina rig, jig and spoon, and 10XD crankbait rod. It's got that moderate bend on it, kind of parabolic, and I really like that. It loads up really well. I've got it rigged up on another Hawgz BB1, 7-to-1 gear ratio. And you know, with this, I'm using a beaver style bait, typically just a beaver style bait. And you know, you got your D-bomb. You know, Bruiser Flash is a good color. The D-bomb's a good bait. You just got your Reaction Innovations beavers. If the bite gets really tough, you can go to like this Gambler BB cricket is a good bait, you know, when the bite's really tough, or like a Zoom speed crawl, something like that.
Alright, that's another Texas rig fish. I'm out of time though, I gotta go. Pretty good day. We'll talk about what happened later.
That was fun. 3 delivery systems in 3 hours, and my goal was to catch 3 fish. Didn't quite get it done. Got parts of it done. I did manage to catch my 2 overs, even though one of them was on a frog, but I'm still going to count that. I caught 1 on the Tokyo rig, and I caught 2 on the Power Shot and 2 on the traditional Texas rig. I had the bites to make the challenge. I just missed them, so that's all you can ask for is to get the bites. But it was kind of fun. It was just fun to mix it up. I stayed with that Tokyo rig way too long. They weren't wanting that at all, but I was bound and determined to at least catch 1 fish on it. So that took up over half of my time. I had more confidence on the traditional Texas rig, so actually only fished that for about 15 minutes. Maybe if I would have switched them around, started out with the Texas rig, I would have got my 3 fish pretty quick, and then went to the Power Shot, and then tried to spend the rest of the time on that Tokyo rig. But it was fun. Let's talk about these techniques a little deeper here. Let's talk about the pros and cons of each one of these delivery systems. We'll start with the Tokyo rig. This is a neat little rig. It's really compact. It goes in the grass really well, punches through really well, and it comes out pretty decent. I like how if you've got, let's say you've got a silty bottom, your traditional Texas rig, when you flip it in there, is going to just kind of it's going to disappear in the silt in the bottom. This will actually stand up a little bit. You know, it's going to be up off the bottom just enough to where it creates some separation, you know, to create a shadow. I think a fish can see it a little bit better. It's going to be up off the bottom, and it's really neat because what you do is once that weight's on the bottom, you kind of shake that, and it's just like a drop shot. You shake that, and this thing's going to be moving around. It's a little bit different look. Another thing I like about the Tokyo rig is you can get by with half the weight. You know, a 1 ounce weight is like $6 or $7 if you buy the tungsten. The 3 ounces, you know, less than $2. So there's a big price difference in the weight, and you can get into the same mats with half the weight, which is really nice. You know, when you're rigging this up, that's all the bend you need there. You want that little hook to fit inside of that weight. If it's on the outside, you're going to be snagging a lot of grass. So you got to get your bend just right. You don't need a whole lot of bend, just enough to where it catches there, and it's pretty rigid. I mean, it's not going to pop off. That's the pros. The cons are it's a little bit hard to get out of the grass. It's not as hard as the punt shot. We'll talk about that in a second. It's definitely not as efficient as the traditional Texas rig. But all in all, it's a pretty good bait. There's a lot of wire here. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but you know, an Alabama rig, geez, it's got 5 wires on it, and spinners and snaps and swivels, and you still get a lot of bites on that. So I'm not sure if that's just in my head or not. But I'm going to keep experimenting with this. Let's talk about this Power Shot now. This is an interesting rig. I like it. It's got a lot of action. Of the 3 delivery systems for punching, this one definitely has the most action. That weight's on the bottom, and when you give it slack, this thing will go this way and it'll go that way. You can really shake it, and it actually really darts around. And when you're reeling it in, it swims through the water like this. It's something that I'm sure the fish have never seen. It just comes through the water like that. It's really cool. The hookup ratio is really well on it. There's no weight. It's kind of like a wacky rig, or you know, a drop shot. It is a drop shot, but it's just all hook. You know, when you set the hook, you're just driving it into the fish's mouth. So good hookup ratio. It punches in the grass really, really well. This weight hits first. The weight comes through the mat, and then it just pulls the bait right through there. I mean, it comes through really, really well. So that's a plus. The cons of this thing is, although it goes through really good, it does not come out very good. First thing that happens is your bait hits the bottom of that mat, and it's hard to get that bait through. Once you get it through, then here comes your weight, and your weight gets hung up in there. It's just really slow. Of the 3 delivery systems, it's the slowest, without a doubt. but it does have a really unique action, something the fish haven't seen. So I'm going to be playing around with it a lot this fall. Now to the traditional Texas rig. This one's hard to beat, man. I'd say the pros to this thing is it's got really good weight distribution. It pitches really clean, goes in really well, comes out really well, and you can cover a whole lot more water with this than you can the other two delivery systems. The downside is if you're fishing in a lot of silt and stuff, it's going all the way to the bottom and it could get lost in the mix. Once you get to a 1 ounce weight, that's a really big weight, and what can happen, what happens a lot, is you'll actually blow that fish's mouth open when you set the hook because the weight is so big, and when that fish opens his mouth, you know, the hook sometimes misses the target. 3/4 perfect. If you can get by with 3/4, you don't miss near as many fish. It's just small enough to where even when they open their mouth, you still get a hook in them. If I can get bit on the Texas rig, that's what I'm going with 100% of the time. If it gets a little tough and I got to go to these other delivery systems, then I'll go to those. It's kind of controversial, but I just tie a San Diego jam knot. I don't snell. I've never had a problem missing fish. I know a lot of people swear by the snell knot and, you know, the cam action, how it pivots forward. And if it's working for you, then it's working for you. They're both really great knots. They both work in the punching situations. So I just tie the San Diego jam knot.